I don't like to get people mad. I particularly don't like to get people over the age of 40 mad, because these are the people who have guns and handcuffs and prisons, a wide variety of instruments of metal with which they punish people who get them mad. Young people, for the most part, aren't so concerned with control and power. They're much more involved in having fun, being curious, exploring their sensual equipment, making adventurous explorations, making love, trying to learn what it's all about. I have personal experience which has taught me how fierce people over 40 can be with those who challenge their beliefs. Down in Texas, there are a group of men over 40 who got so mad at what I'm saying that they sentenced me to prison for 30 years. And up here in New York State, there are another group of men over 40 who want to put me in jail for another 16 years for saying the sort of things that I'm going to say on this record. Our present adult culture is based on two levels of consciousness and uses drugs promiscuously and lavishly to produce these two levels of consciousness: sleep and symbolic game-playing awareness. The average American knows how to put himself in a state of somnambulance and stupor by using our most popular drugs, barbiturates, tranquilizers, and alcohol, all of which are addictive, narcotic, and toxic substances. They dope you, and they can kill you. The average American is heavily addicted to the symbolic level of consciousness, hooked to external, tribal patterns, which he calls normal reality. The average American uses drugs to put his consciousness in a state of symbolic game playing. The first thing he does in the morning is take coffee or caffeine. The American who's involved in hectic, demanding game-playing sequences takes an energizer. At 5 o'clock, with symbols and symbolic sequences whizzing around in his head, the average American rushes home and puts himself in a mild state of stupor with alcohol. Drugs which stupefy and drugs which energize are simple, coarse, and vulgar procedures. They require no sensitivity, training, or skill. Chemicals which open up the mind, accelerate mental activity, and deepen consciousness demand lengthy training and disciplined, systematic study. Marijuana, for example, is a chemical which enhances the sensory level of consciousness. Marijuana is used to tune out the symbolic game and to turn on the senses. The retina of the eye quivers as light hurtles into it at the speed of 186,000 miles a second. The delicate membrane of the ear trembles to the dance of sound waves. This is why marijuana adepts turn on before they go to a museum or to a flower garden, or why musicians have for many years used cannabis as an enhancer of their auditory sensibility and their musical creativity. It is also well known that marijuana enlivens the senses of taste and touch and smell. Just mention food to the novice smoking marijuana, and he suddenly discovers he's ravenously hungry and that food has never tasted quite so good before. Of course not, because eating to the symbol addict is like fueling a car, but to the person turned on with marijuana, each grain of food sets off grenade explosions of sensation in the taste buds of the tongue. The aspect of marijuana which is most frightening to a prudish, puritanical culture or to an impotent generation is the enhancement of the tactile sense. Marijuana is a powerful intensifier of the sexual experience. This does not mean that marijuana leads to sexual activity. I would estimate that there is less sexual activity during marijuana sessions than in drinking bouts. But the sexual moments are exponentially expanded in the direction of heightened receptivity. Alcohol, of course, is the drug which leads to sexual excesses. It is well known that alcohol is the easiest instrument for seducing a woman. You load her up and roll her over. But the problem with alcohol as a sexual instrument is that the morning after, neither you nor she remembers much about what happened the night before. And that may be merciful, because what you would remember is a crude, brutal, fumbling sexual encounter which is best forgotten. By contrast, the sexual union under marijuana is a slow, rhythmic, mythic, highly ceremonial, unfolding, and unifying. I would say that very few of the millions of Americans who smoke marijuana know how to use this delicate and subtle instrument. Most marijuana is smoked in highly stylized cult situations which fail to take into account the sensory and intimate nature of the experience. I predict that in the next 10 years we will see dozens of manuals outlining methods for harmonizing the intersection of external energy and sense organ by the use of marijuana. But the training and sensitivity required for the use of marijuana is nothing compared to the knowledge and preparation required for the harmonious use of the stronger psychedelic drugs, such as LSD. Of all the methods of conscious expansion, education, and spiritual growth developed by man in the last 4,000 years, the most demanding, the most challenging, is LSD. LSD and similar drugs are direct chemical keys to the ancient texts of cellular wisdom. They put one in direct contact with RNA and possibly DNA species wisdoms which have been stored up for some 2 billion years. I have taken LSD 311 times. Each time I have found the experience awesome and awful. And what I have learned from these many voyages is the humiliating lesson that there is more to learn within my own body than I could grasp in 1,000 lifetimes. Each second of an LSD experience renders one a baby crawling on hands and knees in 1,000 Smithsonian institutes and libraries of Congress, all built into each cell of your body.